met her on a missions trip to Brazil. I was speaking with the children there and bringing them to Jesus Christ. And that's when she saw me and fell in love. She was on the side of the road begging for money. I met her at Burger King. We met on a farm. I was a priest. She was a nun. We met at rehab. I was down in Mexico, Eastern Asia. It was a small fish market in Tibet. I was working for a gym. I was one of the personal trainers, and she was one of the lovely young ladies coming in to seek my advice on fitness.
What did he say?
Saucy little minx. Alright, here's the truth. A friend of mine took me up to Boca Community, and we got there about 15 minutes late.
He sat 2 rows in front of me. I had no idea who this guy was, but he just captivated me, and there was something about him that I just could not stop looking at. I think it was his blue eyes.
But afterwards, he started introducing me around to a lot of the people there, and while we were laughing, having a good time, it just happened to be at the very same time as us, we erupted into laughter. A group of people right next to us started laughing. So, of course, we all look over to see who they were and see what they were talking about. And when I did that, I just happened to catch Linda's eye.
I just couldn't stop looking at him and daydreaming and trying to figure out who this beautiful man was.
My heart about melted right then and there.
So our first date was kind of set up.
It was going to be Linda, Sam, JP, and I. We were all going to go out and just go hang out for a little while, just have a couple coffees and talk for who knows how long.
I went ahead and called JP and I said, JP, don't go. Jason's going to call you. He's going to say, go to Starbucks. Just tell him you can't. Say you're busy. And then I told my brother the same thing. I said, Sam, Jason's going to say, let's go to Starbucks. Just ignore him completely. Just say you're tired, you got homework, whatever. So Jason shows up to my house, and
for some reason, JP and Sam couldn't make it that night.
He was asking, where's JP and Sam? And I said, I don't know, they can't go. And it was just Jason and I. I remember this one time we went on this date. It was the sweetest thing. We were on our way to the movies, and there was a blood drive truck sitting right in the front.
I see a sign saying, free movie tickets for a pint of blood.
And I just looked at him, and he was looking at the truck, and he said, we should donate blood. We can save so many lives with these poor children.
Jackpot.
And my heart just melted. I was like, this guy is unbelievable. Sure, let's donate blood. So we sat in the truck, we were holding hands as we were getting blood drawn, and I just thought at that point that we just connected. It was just such a beautiful thing.
The actual engagement I had been planning for months. I remember when she left for Brazil on her missions trip is pretty much when with my older sister, we went shopping for rings.
I didn't see it coming. I didn't even expect it. I didn't even think this was going to happen.
Started out the night before. I had personally, I hand-dipped strawberries in chocolate and froze them and had them ready to go. I went out and bought a bottle of champagne and got all sorts of little treats and different gifts for her birthday, which I just kind of randomly gave out to her throughout the whole entire time. So I kind of wanted her to think that this wasn't an engagement. I wanted her to think that it was her birthday.
So he wanted to take me to go see the sunrise and the sunset all in the same day, because I'd mentioned it one time that I've never done that before, and that was one of my wishes to do with him.
We woke up probably about 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and drove out to the beach, and on the Fort Lauderdale beach, and we sat there, sprawled out a nice little blanket. We just sat there, talked for hours, and we just got to watch the sunrise, and we got to spend some time together.
After that, we decided to get back in the car, and we drove over to the West Coast.
Kind of wanted to show her where my grandmother lived. My grandma and grandpa, they lived up on Fort Myers, just a beautiful house, and just kind of wanted to tell her a little bit about who I was and where I came from.
we hung out at the beach in Sanibel Island. It was absolutely beautiful. And then around dinner time, we went to this really cute restaurant.
It was a nice restaurant. We were sitting right up against the glass. We got to look over the water and watch the sun get closer and closer and closer to touching down. And it was at that point where we decided, let's go down because we want to watch the sunset.
And throughout the whole day, he had given me presents, just little birthday gifts. And I was like, wow, this day is really special. You know, he's trying to like make my birthday this great. How is he going to top it next year?
So went back out to the car and I grabbed my big ice chest. It had everything in it. It had all the different, strawberries that I dipped in chocolate, the champagne, and it had the ring. And I kept trying to hide it all in this one little place, and I didn't want her to see it.
So we're eating strawberries and drinking champagne, and out of nowhere I see these cute little dolphins swimming out in the ocean, and I'm like, I have to get a picture of them.
And Linda was sitting there taking pictures of everything, and I'm all concerned about trying to get the ring into my pocket without her seeing it. And I remember I tried to get her to stand up so I can actually propose to her.
He wanted me to get up, and I said, okay, just let me finish taking some pictures. And after a while, I was like, okay. I stood up, and he gave me a hug, and he told me all of the reasons why he loved me.
Just told her how much I loved her, and how I thought she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen, and how I never wanted to live a day ever again without her by my side.
And then he asked me to tell him why I loved him, and I did.
It was at that point that I kind of reached down in my bathing suit pocket and I started pulling out the ring.
And out of nowhere, I felt him slip out of my arms, and I saw him get on one knee. And at that point, I was shocked, and I just could not believe what he was doing, and I started to cry. And he pulls out a ring from his pocket, and he looks at me, and he says, will you marry me?
And of course, right as I did that, her tears started flowing, and I didn't actually get an answer for about a good 10 minutes or so.
It took me a while to say yes because I was in shock and crying, but I finally said yes, and he hugged me, and it was the most wonderful moment in my life.
That's kind of the story of us getting engaged.